Hey y'all, my name is Samah Ali and I am one of the Associate Shorts Programmers for Doc NYC. I'm pleased to lead the Q&A for Doc NYCU's New York Film Academy program for this year's festival. We have many directors joining us virtually today. I'll ask everyone to introduce themselves in addition to their relationship with the film. Who wants to start? Kendall, start us off.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Kendall, and I am the director and creator of the film Choosing the Line.
Perfect. Nelson.
Hi, I'm Gómez, and I'm the director of Saving Us.
Jason.
Hi, I'm Jason Hanna. I'm the director of Sanctuary.
Welcome, welcome. Who's next, y'all? Go on a line.
I can go next. My name is Anna, and I am producer, post-production producer of Generation 328.
Hello, everybody. My name is Pochi Tamba. I'm the director for Ace Keep. Glad to be here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lívia, Thiago, and I'm the director of What We Keep.
Hi, everyone. I'm Masiyiwa, and I'm the director and producer of Intersection.
Hi, everyone. My name is Olga Shelukhova, and I'm the director of We Are Friends.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chandni, and I'm the director for Am I Enough?
Hi, everyone. I'm Frida, and I am the director of Garden State Mysteries.
We're so happy that everyone can be here today. Like what we were saying, throughout the festival, it's awesome that we can get filmmakers from all over the world to be present for their screenings here in, our proverbial New York. So I would love for us to kind of get into, these conversations about your films first and foremost. And Frida, let's start with you, but this question is for everybody. Talk to us about what inspired your film and perhaps how you found your subjects.
Did you say Frida? I didn't hear you, sorry.
Yes, Frida, start us off. Good. Everybody else can continue.
Yeah. So my inspiration is that I'm a social anthropologist. That's my degree. And I've always been very interested in folklore. And at the time of studying at Nyfa, I was living in New Jersey, and I heard some stories about the folklore there, and I just wanted to explore it and see what was actually there and why the stories crept up to begin with.
Brilliant. Who wants to go next? What inspired them?
I can go next. Okay. Well, I'm from the Caribbean, and I was born and raised in the beach area, so it was very common for me to be directly engaged with it. It all started in 2017 when I started diving, and there I started to notice the real situation that was going on with the coral reefs and everything, and I understood that it did not matter that I was from the Caribbean. I was not well aware of what was going on until I went into the diving activities. And I think it was that year or next year that I met my subject for my film, and we've been working together since.
That's really good to hear. I saw a few folks before coming to the camera. Anna, perhaps you want to take us on next. What inspired you?
Sure. So the film that I'm representing is the film by a person who tragically died last year. So I can only tell by her words and, by her actions, because we were classmates. And what inspired Nyca to make this film was that she was very passionate about the topic. The topic is the crazy amounts of sentences that people in Belarus are sentenced to for minor drug offenses. And she was passionate in general about Belarus and about this topic in particular, because she thought that these kind of sentences, they just don't make sense, and they shouldn't be active in 2020. And I mean, at that time it was 2018 when she filmed it.
Thank you, and I appreciate you being here on behalf of the director. That was one of the things that I noticed at the end of the film as well, and so may they rest in peace, and I appreciate you having that voice for them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pochi, you were going to jump in as well. What inspired your film?
My film is about a subway singer, a busker. When I came to New York City, I really didn't have an idea what it means to be singing in the subway. So I was really fascinated by the life under the roads, if I should say it that way. And so I started taking a lot of interest in those who were singing. That's how I met this character, who eventually became my main character in my story. So that's how I got inspired. I was so enthralled, so fascinated by everything that was happening in the metro, or in the subway, as you'd call it in New York City. And as someone who's never really lived, I've always come to the United States as a tourist, but to really merge and be part of that environment, that part of me just couldn't go without taking something of New York City. And today, with hindsight, I'm really happy I did that story, because it's like I'm taking a part of New York City with me back here in Africa.
I love that. I love your outlook on that. Sarah, let's go to you. What inspired Intersection?
So with Intersection, it was really just voices of Black women that I knew, and I just asked them to record how they were feeling in the specific moment that we were in. And for reference, that was this summer. It was the middle of the Black Lives Matter protests, and it was the week after Toy and Salau had been murdered. And I think there was just this heaviness for a lot of women that I knew. And so I just asked them to journal it, read what they had written, and send it to me, or just directly just record something and send it to me. And it was just this way of connecting with a specific community, and also just allowing the women I know to offload what they were feeling in a specific moment.
And it was done very beautifully, especially with the cadence of the words. And I will get into it in just a little bit, but I appreciate you being here. And thank you for joining us all today to watch this. Chandni, what about you? Marianacci, what inspired it?
Yeah. So my journey actually started when my mom died. And I kind of realized like how all the death rituals in here in my religion were like very male dominated. And I kind of realized that we are a family of 4 sisters. We are all daughters here. So if something happens to my parents, I want to have the right to do everything for my parents. So that's how the journey started, to decode what is nirvana really gender restricted, and that's how it started, and which led me to realize that how deep rooted it was, and how it had affected my own very family, and how this obsession had actually led my parents to bring up one of my sisters as a boy, because they wanted to just clung on to their dream of having a son. So that is how that's my sister inspired me to make this film. Like I made it more for her. Like I thought she needed that closure. So yeah, that's it.
That was there are so many interesting elements about that in your film. So I'm looking forward to getting into that discussion as well. All of your films are really brilliant, but like, wow, it's amazing to see certain elements and lifestyles depicted onto screen in documentaries. It's just spectacular and, just jaw-dropping. Lívia, do you want to talk to us about what inspired What We Keep?
Yeah, sure. I moved to New York with my wife to study at the New York Film Academy. And when the coronavirus pandemic hit, my wife suffered a psychotic break and she needed to be hospitalized for 3 weeks. And I saw myself absolutely alone during lockdown because I wasn't able to visit her or anything because of the pandemic. And I realized it was the first time ever in my life I was completely alone. So it was about this journey of mine into realizing who I am and what made me complete to fulfill my days by myself.
Thank you. Jason, what inspired Sanctuary?
Hey, I wouldn't say anything inspired me, but mine was just strictly coincidental. I have a pet pig, and it's hard for me to find a vet, and because it's a very rare pig, you know, a rare animal to have as a pet. So to find a vet for him here in New York is very rough. So I reached out to a lady that runs a pig sanctuary to find out, you know, which vet she uses. And I went to, she turned her house into a pig sanctuary, and she owns about 48, you know, pet pigs. She takes in unwanted pigs. And she was just so passionate about, you know, her pets and everything. And she does it all by herself with her own money. She you know, she finances everything. And, you know, she had helped me a lot. She came and picked up my pig and drove it to Pennsylvania to the vet she goes to. And she was just so sweet. I'd never seen somebody so, you know, so giving, and, you know, and she was so passionate about it. And so I had a scoop project due. So, you know, I did my, you know, my short film on her, and it was just, you know, I was just so impressed about her.
It's funny because some of the best characters are always the ones that are just, you know, like there.
Yeah.
Just like, how are you doing that? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Olga, talk to us about VR Friends, because that was an interesting mixed media piece.
Thanks. I just wanted to be more experimental with different formats, and I found this one, which is like a computer screen movie, I could say. And I wanted to tell my personal story using this format, and I was thinking that it's like an interesting idea to create a personal documentary and find the solution how to tell this story using this format, because the format itself is already like keep a big distance between you and the audience. It's really hard to make it more immersive, I would say. So I just was thinking about this challenge.
You did really good job too, because I don't know, I'm very interested in virtual reality, and so to see stories being told from different lenses, especially on a computer screen, I thought that was really cool.
Thank you so much.
Kendall, choosing the line.
Yeah, so in my film, I do something that's a little insane. I decide to try and walk a 1-inch line across a waterfall. And how that kind of came to fruition is that I was living in New York City and everything was super busy, and I felt like I was becoming a zombie. Like everything was just about getting to one place to the next. I wasn't being in the moment. It was just so fast paced, trying to keep up with the lifestyle of the city. And the idea for choosing the line came out of like frustration of not being able to be in the moment. So I just decided, you know, I'm going to do something really insane and outside of my comfort zone and see if I can pull myself back.
Whoa. It was, wow. I think, you know, all of your films are so eclectic and so different and so unique and naturally all made by different people. I'm curious, and, you know, Kendall, you can start us off, but we can really get into a larger discussion about this, y'all, about your production process, because what is joining you all together is the Academy. However, all of your stories and, you know, productions are different in their own respects. So I'm curious about what you made y'all, you know, united in your production process, but then also unique in your own respects. Kendall, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I think my production process was really complicated because I had this grand idea to like go do a cross-country road trip, and it was going to be this really big story, and it was going to be about community and learning how to slackline, how to highline with all these people. And as soon as I like got my storyline down, COVID hit. So basically I had to do pretty much, except for the last, like the climax of the film, most of it I had to shoot by myself, and it's a film about myself. So it started having to get really creative with angles and static shots and changing the storyline from like community and meeting all these fascinating characters that are in the slacklining community to like having to just like deep dive into like me and my archival footage and my childhood. And it was very both therapeutic and traumatizing, because I realized like kind of way more about who I am as a person, and also about how I am not different at all from like my 4-year-old self. So that it was cool. It was very cool, but it was really having to get creative and challenging, because it felt like something that was going to have a big community behind it and had to be very introspective and very singularly focused on myself.
That is such a cool story. Like, wow, what an experience. Does anyone else want to share more about their production process and how that was, you know, maybe as colorful or a different process you had to take?
Well, I can go. Nyca made the entire film herself, and it's crazy that such a good film can be filmed by one person. She did sound, she did video, she did everything. And she made several trips to Belarus. She went there like 3 times, and once she stayed for like 5 weeks. And she was trying to do editing herself, but she didn't really like it. So she found someone who ended up finishing the film, whose name is Anis. She's also Russian, and yeah, so post-production was made by us, but she did everything related to production.
That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing, Anna. Anybody else with their production process? Jason, I'm really curious about your production process. Perhaps you can share that with us.
Mine was boring.
Really? I think yours is so cool.
No, I mean the production. It was, you know, I mean, you know, it was one day of shooting, and you know, the editing for me is difficult. So it was an uphill battle for me. You know, I'm just one of those guys that never caught into editing, and it was difficult for me. But it was just it was a 2-man crew. You know, we did the one day of filming, and you know, trying to develop a short storyline with such a short film, that was the most difficult part. But I mean, it wasn't much to it. You know, it was one location. You know, and so it wasn't too complex.
Thank you for sharing, regardless. Pochi, perhaps you want to jump in on your production process?
Yeah, there is something Kendall said that I'd like to just cue in from there. Like she said, she started out with a big idea of what she wanted to do. And that's like how I came in. I had this massive idea of how I wanted to produce, and it started just cutting itself down as I was editing or as I was shooting. So, and I kind of think that's how production is. You don't know what you have until you have actually gone out on the field and discovered that it's, you know, some things are not exactly as you expected them. And that's where your craftiness or your ability to craft a story has to come in. So it's been a wonderful learning curve for me. It isn't exactly the story I want to tell, but it's a film. And then from there, I can tell other stories. I'm also learning that even the best of films still has another version that can come out of it, which would feel better. But then, you know, you can't produce all the time. So I'm sorry, I'm talking and all my kids are just coming around me. So if you see all these kid faces, there's another one here. Just don't mind, it's my life here. So the life of a filmmaker, right? You just have to be who you are. So it is challenging. I found it especially because everything I had to learn from the scratch. It's not my environment. It's not my you know, it's not my life. I was born in Africa, grew up in Africa, only came to the US as a tourist and went back. So having to tell the story, because for you to actually be a good documentary storyteller, you have to know what you're talking about. And I was in the United States just for like a year for studies. So it's not enough time to say you know people enough to tell their stories. So given the time I had and the people I had, I think I told a good story because my character is very proud of the story. But I really wish I had more time to, you know, go deeper into it and, you know, say it. Yeah, you know, I'm really proud of the little that I did. Yeah.
Does anyone, you know, Pochi just said a lot, and I think there was a lot of smiles throughout that. Is there anyone who wants to kind of, you know, go on that same wave of perhaps things that they learned throughout their process?
I can jump in. I think I do resonate a little bit with some frustration, because I think my central question was like, what is it like to be a Black woman? And that's not really something that you can answer in any kind of short film format. And so I do look back on it and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this film is too small for what I was trying to do. But I think having gone back to the characters that I included and almost showing it to them months after they'd recorded it, I think it is somewhat of a gift to them, being like, this is where we were when you recorded this, and this is where you are now. And I think that in itself is a really special gift that you can give back to someone as a character.
I love what you said there, Sarah, the idea that at the end of the day, where our ideas may not be as grand in scope, the ability for us to still show our characters like this is something that exists and it happened in that time period, and it's like a gift to you, is really important. And I actually, on that note, want to get Chandni into this discussion, because this is very much, you know, as you mentioned, was a film for your sister. And so what's that, you know, kind of like gift giving process, the same way that Sarah has kind of like outlined for us?
Yeah, so it was really challenging shooting with your own family, because you have everything planned and you have a production process in your head, and the moment you turn the camera on, and I mean, because I had a certain process, like I used to keep the camera on the tripod and keep recording the natural activities that the family do, of eating, sleeping, talking. And then suddenly I used to bring this question up with my dad or with my mom, do you have any regrets? And they were like, no, we have a good life. I have no regrets. I have such a happy family. I have no regrets. And then suddenly one Sunday morning, they would be like, we're just lying down and listening to music. And then he would just pour his heart out, you know, I wish, I just have one regret. I wish I had a son. I'm like, wait, I'm not rolling right now. So yeah, it was very difficult that way. So I mean, thanks to Olga and Nsoh, my classmates, they had showed me this Osmo camera and everything, which really helped me in the process. So I could just put it anywhere. And then I was really worried about how it looked. But then Olga, again, like she said, like the intimate, it just shows more intimacy, which my film required. And so I feel it was it kind of worked out in the end, because that intimate, that became the style of my film. It's like everything is intimate, it's like up close and personal, then because the film is also like that. And when my sister saw it on the screening, and she cried, and I think she just cried, and she was overwhelmed with the fact that somebody actually thought about her. Like everybody was like, oh, like she just grew up to be a girl, finally, it's fine. But then somebody giving so much of attention to her, I think I've become more close to her, and I have become her confidant after that. And she like shares, like that little wall that was there between me and her, it's kind of broken. And I really I'm happy about that I've been able to do that. But there's still I want to make this into a feature thing, so I'm still shooting a lot of moments now also.
That's really beautiful. I'm glad that your film, broke walls down for you and your siblings. I actually, on that same note, Lívia, I want to get you into the discussion because your film also is very, familial related. It's very intimate as well. So how is that like with you and your partner?
That was the most challenging part of it because I was actually preparing to shoot a film about a dominatrix school. Like it was something that felt so interesting to me, and then the pandemic hit and I needed to make a film for school, and I was locked down, and I had to come to terms with me being my own character, and it was really hard to accept that my story could be interesting somehow to someone, and also to show so much of my intimate moments. So it was hard filming it. It was hard being open to show all my pains and everything I was facing. And it was really hard when it came the time to edit too, because I had a lot of footage from like therapy sessions and things that I shot for my wife while she was in hospital. I did like a virtual diary for her, and having to, decide what I would make public. It was really tough, but I think it helped me a lot to understand myself better, to know myself better in a way. So it was really interesting.
I want to get more into everyone's films, but we are rounding up our 30 minutes. So I actually want to, give off my last question, which is, what is everyone working on now and how can people stay updated with your work? Lívia, we can start with you and then I'll just tag people to go around.
So due to the pandemic, I'm once more doing a personal film. So I returned to Brazil after my wife left the hospital. And when I got here, I realized that my grandmother, she's senile, and when I came back, she just had already lost all her memories. And we were really, really close. So I decided to make a film about who we become when we don't remember who we are anymore. So I'm kind of diving into my grandmother's memories and family films and photographs and stuff like that to maybe it's a way for me to say goodbye to her. Although she's still here, she's not who she was to me anymore. So it's, again, another personal film. So with someone, if anyone wants to keep in touch and see what I'm up to, my Instagram is Lívia _Thiago with TH. And I post everything there. So yeah.
Thank you. Nelson, how can people find out what you're working on next and stay updated?
Well, my Instagram is Nego Travels, NEGO Travels. I am still working with my friend, with my marine biologist. And I must add that at the beginning, the reason to film this documentary was that I was afraid to go into deep waters, even though I'm from the Caribbean and I grew up there. And his inspiration to like save the marine life, it's so contagious that you get to a point that you lose yourself, and you become the subject, you become the corals, you become the creatures that live within it. And we are still planning to move forward with this documentary and create some sort of docu-series about it. I'm also working on a personal documentary, which is more upbeat. It's about surfers finding a great surfing spots in the Caribbean. And so far, that's all that's going on.
Very related. I'm excited to see what it turns out to be. Cool. Frida, what are you working on now and how can folks stay in touch?
So I'm on Instagram too at FRIDA FORSSBLAD. And I post, right now I mainly work as a videographer. I work for a newspaper here in Gothenburg, and I am trying to, with a colleague of mine, start up a project about how the pandemic hit different people and where they were when it started, how restaurant owners are surviving, and people who are pregnant, and people who are our age and still high risk. So we're starting to do that, and as soon as I am able to get back to the US, which doesn't seem to be anytime soon, I want to continue shooting for my film, because there's a lot of things that's happened in the areas, and there are things that I want to explore more, and I kind of wanted to put that in the film too, but due to what's actually happened, I want to be respectful, being white and Swedish, because there's been some really, truly terrible things going on there, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing it right, and be, as I said, just as respectful and good as a filmmaker as possible.
Thank you. Olga?
So I was experimenting with different formats, and one of the things which I found was augmented reality. So right now I'm working on augmented reality documentary about Aral Sea, which is in Kazakhstan, my home country. It's about the sea which is disappearing. It's almost dried out. Yeah, and the most exciting thing right now for me is just to figure out how to put everything together and make the audience to engage with that. And people can find it on my Instagram. I usually post stuff there, and my Instagram is my last name, which is SHELUKHOVA. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Jason, what are you working on next?
Hey, okay. Right now I'm in pre-production for a doc I'm working on. It's about Larita Veyard. She's the first and only Black Philadelphia police officer to be killed in the line of duty. She was killed during a botched bank robbery, and the guys responsible were a couple of platinum recording rap artists who were trying to finance their next album. So that's basically the doc. It has many layers, but that's what I'm working on now. So you can follow me on Instagram. It's Fat Kid from Queens, or you could just follow me on Facebook, which is my name.
I like the Instagram better. Totally cool. And that sounds like a brilliant story. Can't wait to see it when it's in its final form. My goodness. Chandni, what are you working on right now? I'm sorry, I apologize.
It's okay. So I am obviously shooting more with my sister, and now she is more on my team. So I'm getting more proper scenes now. So I really want to make this into a proper feature-length documentary, and because it's so close to my heart, I just don't want to let it go. I want to make it something that will really give me a lot of happiness and everyone else. And the second project is, I had done a lot of research on. It's a granny school in a village where grannies of 90-year-old women, like they have just started going to school because of the patriarchal society. Like they were married young, and then they were bringing up their children, and so did not get time for themselves. So they are above 80. All of them, and then they all wear nice pink uniform, like pink saris, and they go to school. So I've done a research and everything on that, and I was about to go to the village, but because of the pandemic, but these are the two projects I'm working on. And my Instagram handle is CHANDNI, that's my name, and 0611. That's just the number, I don't know why. I just put it. Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you. And that sounds like a really cool story. My goodness. Anna, obviously, we don't know too much about your work, but please let us know actually what you're working on and where folks can find you.
Sure. So if you guys want to follow updates about the generation 3 to 8, you should go on Instagram and follow generation_3 to 8. We're going to post everything there. In terms of my personal projects, I run a film festival in New York that is going to happen in like 3 weeks. Also, I finished my thesis film from Nyfa as well. And it's going to be shown on Moscow Jewish Film Festival in like a couple of weeks as well. Also, Nika's film is going to be shown at Art Doc Fest in Moscow, which is a big deal. It's like a very good film festival. And it's also going to be shown at East Silver Market in Prague, which is also a big deal. So we are very excited about Nika's film, and hopefully we're going to get some attention to this problem.
Thank you, and congratulations on your own festival as well. That sounds super cool. Sarah, what are you working on next?
So I'm currently in post-production on a short doc called Finding Arthur. It's about my family is Zimbabwean, and in the 1960s, my great uncle showed up to our family home, said he was leaving the country, and they never saw him again. So I interviewed a lot of my family members, kind of piecing that story together and going a lot into Zimbabwe's liberation war. So that's what I'm working on now. My Instagram is Sarah_Masiyiwa. So you can follow me there, or see any of my past projects on my website, sarahmasiyiwa.com.
Awesome. Kendall?
So I just graduated like a month ago or something. So
congratulations.
I'm still finishing this film, Choosing the Line, right now. It's kind of unfinished, a little bit unpolished, so I'm just working on that. And then beyond that, I'm also still trying to highline and get into that sport and dive into that community. And I have a couple ideas of shorts in the works about circling around that and extreme sports. And if anybody wants to keep up with me, probably the best place is either Instagram or Facebook. My Facebook is Kendall Marianacci, and my Instagram is at @KMarianacci, KMarianacci.
Perfect. Did we get everybody? We got everyone? Yeah. Well, I want to thank you all so much for being here, all the directors. This has been awesome. And then also I want to thank everybody at home, and I hope they have a lovely virtual festival. Not only you enjoyed this lineup, but also check out more lineups, check out more shorts programs in our 2020 selection. Thank you all for being here, folks. This has been so awesome, and your films are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.